welcome to another more chatty video. I finally finished uni. Who would have thought? Third time lucky, as is the third uni that I've been to, and that's why I wanted to create this video today, just to chat about that, my experience of not being afraid to quit and really being okay with finding myself. I feel like there's so much pressure on young people to find that one thing straight away, and a lot of the time people tend to follow just whatever they fall into because they're afraid of change, afraid of quitting, and just wanted to share my experience as someone who has quit and what that has been like. Finally studied something that I really enjoy. So just to give a little bit of background, I went to uni in America when I was 17. I went with a sports scholarship, but I was actually studying graphic design. But in the first year in America, you're doing many different subjects, which was good because I got to see how I liked different subjects more broadly. And there I was actually doing psychology, and the lecturer was just amazing. So already I could see a little hint of I really enjoy different aspects of psychology. Then eventually at 18, 19, I came back to London and I went to study film production, so more media related. And I did that for about 9 months. So both of those I did up to a year. Kind of felt that with both the graphic design and film production, I got the broader knowledge until I was satisfied with what I knew about it and felt, okay, I don't really need to go deeper into it. I get it and don't really have as much of an interest to keep following through with that. And then eventually, as a mature student, I suppose, I started studying sports psychology when I was 23 and just finished in the last month or so, which is still sinking in. I didn't actually think I'd go back to uni after quitting the second one, but here we are and it's been great. It's been smooth sailing, happy with my grades, really enjoyed it. So I'm happy about that decision, especially deciding to do it later as someone who clearly wasn't sure about what they wanted to do with uni. And when I quit the first 2 times, it definitely wasn't easy. There's definitely a lot of stigma when it comes to quitting anything, but I really felt that it just wasn't right for me at the time. I wasn't really afraid of trying something new, changing things up, because at the end of the day, I wanted to make sure I'm enjoying what I'm doing, and I really wasn't that fazed about other people's opinions, because at the end of the day, I think that's the most important thing. If I'm not going to enjoy what I'm doing all the time, every day, then what would be the point of doing it for someone else? So I guess I was just really strong about that, really wanted to follow my gut and just try to find what I would really enjoy. And especially I think around the ages of 17, 18, when we're supposed to make these big decisions about what we want to study, what we want to do, I feel like it's a lot of pressure. So I'm really glad that I had the chance to test different things and find what I liked, and didn't feel like I just had to fit into one box straight away and figure it out. So if you're not able to figure it out, I wasn't able to, it's okay to just test things, try things a little bit more broadly, and then eventually you might find something that you want to specialize in a little bit more deeply, or you won't and you'll just have a few different things going on. I don't know if I was influenced culturally to try and find that one thing that was my purpose, that's my thing, but I did feel a lot of that pressure. What's that one thing that I can do forever? When growing up, I feel like that's really not the case. We're constantly changing and our interests change with that, so it's okay not to find purpose in just one thing. And I think it's so much easier to say than when you're actually in that position of, oh my God, I need to find that thing. I need to figure out what I want to do, because it can be so daunting. But I really think just challenging yourself, being okay with quitting, being okay with making mistakes is how you begin to find yourself, because you can kind of filter out the things that aren't for you. You get redirected towards the things that you do want to do, and just being okay with saying yes to things. And if it's not for you, being okay with that, not being so trapped into, oh, I've invested so much time into this, now I can't let go of it, because certain things can still be a part of you and grow with you, and maybe you can use them later on, but it doesn't have to be such a crucial part of your identity in a way. And what I really began to realize with uni and all of it relating to purpose, really, because you're just looking for a direction in life, what you want to do, something that makes you money, but you also kind of enjoy. You don't want to hate what you're doing all the time. And what I really began to realize is that as I was testing things and seeing what I liked, what I didn't like, what didn't work for me, I was kind of starting to look at my habits, my routine, and thinking these are the things I find bearable. This is the way that I like to work. Let's say it's more mental, more analytical, more physical. I thought, so that this is the way I work, and really using all of that experience to see what I would be capable doing every day more consistently. So, for instance, no matter what I was studying, what I was doing, I always loved to move, loved to exercise. So, I thought that's a part of my life that I could really live off and also make money from, because it's just something that I enjoy effortlessly. Since I grew up playing tennis and everything, it's just always been there in my nature. So, kind of shifting that mindset of, oh, let me find a purpose that's out there for me, but instead of looking at what am I already doing in my life in the way that I can form that from already. And I think that's the biggest shift I've had in terms of finding a purpose, or finding a uni that I wanted to study, finding work that I really enjoy. If you take anything from this video, I hope it's that whatever you're doing in your everyday life that is a real part of you and that you enjoy can somehow become your work and fuel that purpose, fuel that fulfillment, as well as be able to make money, which is also important. So that's pretty much what I've done with, as I mentioned, knowing that I really liked movement. I was coaching tennis first, now I'm coaching Pilates, which has been working great. Doesn't feel like a drastic new thing that I had to discover as my purpose. It's just something that's already been a part of me, and I really enjoy motivating people, making sure they feel healthy and strong. So for me, that's working really well so far. And then that's what brought me to study sports psychology, because it's obviously related to sport. I also have a great interest in psychology, meditation, mindfulness, all of these things. So I thought that's kind of a great combination to deepen that knowledge and specialize in it a little bit more. So it wasn't like, oh, I have to go to uni to figure out what I want to do. It was an addition that really developed me in that area a little bit more. And just knowing that that's already been a big part of my life. I like listening, I like talking, I like movement. So I guess that's why I haven't quit sports psychology, because it was a lot easier to follow through and almost stay interested in, because I could always find some way to put more energy into it, as it's something I was also foundationally quite familiar with. And yeah, as I mentioned earlier, there's really something about us constantly molding and growing, and not having to feel like this is what I've chosen, this is it now. Even though I have done sports psychology and I am in movement, I feel like I'm always really open to whatever comes along. I don't think I'd do a massive career change now, But I also wouldn't want to be afraid of change and challenging myself just because it wouldn't fit in a certain box of what I'm doing right now. And I do feel like when we do challenging things that might be a little bit outside of our box, even though they're scary, they can really make us grow because they're out of our comfort zone. So I really hope I can keep pushing those limits and not just stay in something that I'm super comfortable in. And you're just doing things even if you're scared. Because you always just have to think, what's the worst thing that could happen? You might mess up, you might make mistakes, but at least you've tried and you know what it feels like. And just really being okay with this idea of changing interests, because the kind of interests we had a year ago or 5 years ago aren't going to be the same as now. So it's so natural to grow within what you're doing and not feeling like you have to do what you did a year ago or 5 years ago. I also feel like whether you're studying a few different topics or try and do a few different things more broadly, it can actually be a strength rather than seeing it as quitting, because you're broadening who you are in the way and you're adapting, staying curious and learning to see what actually fits you. I think that's the most important thing, to keep finding out what works for you, what aligns with you, and what doesn't. So, if I was going to give advice to my 18-year-old self, and just looking back at it, I would be really happy with the decisions that I've made, and probably tell myself to try to be even less stressed about other people's opinions, about not finishing anything, and see it as a strength. Proud for following my intuition and not sticking through with things that I didn't enjoy and felt that I was no longer curious about. There is literally no perfect plan, and I think the most perfect direction you can find is just trying to do what's right for you and not feeling like you have to try to replicate other people's footprints in terms of the way they find their purpose and what works for them. And also just telling that 18-year-old self that you don't have to find that one thing, because there probably isn't just one thing, and that's so okay. It's so much pressure for a teenager to try to find that thing that you're going to do forever. It isn't as black and white as I guess people think it is at that age. So I kind of wish I maybe wrote that down more or visualized it a bit more, that it's okay not to find just one thing, and see the benefit of enjoying so many different things, and then trial and error to see what I'm directed towards and what I gravitate towards. I guess it's not something I necessarily had to have figured out at 18, because it's what you learn with experience anyway. But I guess that's what would have reassured me as an 18-year-old. So I can't believe that I've actually finished a uni. It really hasn't sunk in, because I guess when you quit so many times, you're like, wow, really? I actually followed through. But I'm really happy with the way I navigated it all, and just wanted to share that. And I'm really going to try and take my own advice and experience on board, especially in terms of staying intuitive and really trying not to become rigid and boxed into certain ideas, and really just stay open to opportunities, see what doors open, seeing what's out there that really aligns with my everyday life, with the way that I like doing things. Because I really believe if you can make work and purpose work with who you are already, it's just so much easier and so much more fulfilling. So I'll be taking a bit of a break from studying. I might do masters in a year or two if I decide to go into that sports psychologist direction, which I think would be really fun and a great option. But there are other options as well that I'm not closing off, and just seeing how everything goes. Let me know your thoughts, your experience with uni and searching for a purpose and all of that. And thank you so much for watching. I will try to be a little bit more consistent now that I have more time, less uni. So I'll see you soon in the next video.